Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the YS channel. So today we're going to dive into the world of obscure and cult cinema to discuss what some might consider a sci-fi classic or cult classic, and others consider it a steaming pile of monkey trash. And that is David Hasselhoff's Starcrash. And this is a sci-fi movie that, again, either you enjoy or you think is a disaster. But a lot of us are just left scratching our heads and wondering how such a movie was ever made in the first place. Join us as we dissect this train wreck of a movie and figure out what was going on.
Well, the opening scene of Starcrash sets the stage for what is to come. A disjointed mismatch of poorly executed special effects and wooden acting. As we were introduced to our protagonist, played by the one and only David Hasselhoff, we immediately sense that something is off. His delivery is flat, his movements robotic, and it's almost he's sleepwalking through the whole movie.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think he plays like a cyborg or something. But yeah, so the plot of Starcrash is convoluted and kind of nonsensical, to say the least. It's definitely a Star Wars ripoff, okay, and that's where all the comparisons are coming from. So this movie, it follows the journey of a group of rebels. Sound familiar? As they battle an evil Count Zarf Arn, who plans to use a weapon of mass destruction to conquer the galaxy. And that sounds awfully familiar, like Star Wars, right? And then along the way, our heroes encounter bizarre creatures, cheesy special effects, and plenty of moments that just leave you scratching your heads like, what the fuck was going on?
Well, let's talk about the special effects in Starcrash, or the lack thereof. From the laughably bad green screen work to the cheaply made costumes, it's clear this film was made on a shoestring budget. The laser beams look like something out of a children's cartoon. The spaceship models are so poorly constructed that they wobble as though they float through space. It's a wonder that anyone took it seriously.
But now, I'm not gonna lie. There are some parts of this movie that look decent. Okay, some of the effects, because again they use a lot of props and like screen overlays, kind of like how they do with the Toho Godzilla movies. And then they animated over certain frames, kind of like how they did with the the lightsabers from the original Star Wars movies. Like they had to animate that effect. But this is done on a much poorer quality. Again, Star Wars came out the year before this came out, all right? And look how well made and polished of a movie that was, especially for the late 70s. And then this comes out, and it's like, and it's a total ripoff of Star Wars. I mean, the aesthetic, the general plot. I mean, they changed things up so they can't like get sued for ripping off Star Wars, But even the costumes, I mean, it looks just cheesy, That's kind of like obviously it's what they would call a cash grab, somebody sees a trailer for this, they're like, oh man, that's definitely Star Wars. Let's go see this, and then like, what the fuck was this, kind of thing.
Well, that's exactly what this movie was, because it was an Italian movie. Roger Corman basically funded most of the movie. Movie, or he gave the movie distribution as a way to cash in on Star Wars. And actually, believe it or not, Starcraft supposedly made a decent profit based on budget and promotion that was paid for it. So it wasn't a complete box office disaster, but the movie itself was so god awful that no other official sequel came out as a result.
Yeah, there is no franchise for Starcrash. I mean, the reason why this is remembered, again, David Hasselhoff. That's a terrible Star Wars ripoff. And then the female lead, she plays a Bond girl. I forget which James Bond movie, but these people like went on to more high-profile projects. And well, this exists. You get David Hasselhoff wearing eyeliner.
Oh God! To make it matters even worse, the actor who plays the alien Pathfinder. I forget his name, but he used to be a child preacher.
Oh Jesus!
So just give that Marjoe Gortner. That's his name. He was a child preacher, and then in the early 70s, he made a documentary exposing how his faith basically exploits people, and somehow that propelled him to the world of acting, and he basically got the lead role in this movie in part because he did such a good job of looking sympathetic in his documentary.
Oh God! But yeah, let's just talk about David Hasselhoff's performance because he's the lead. He's the star of the show. You can't even say that with a straight face.
David Hasselhoff is known for his work in Baywatch and Knight Rider, but his performance in Starcrash leaves much to be desired. His line delivery is stilted and awkward. He wears eyeliner. His emotional range is practically just as existent as his paycheck. It's evidence he's simply reciting his lines without any understanding of the character he's playing. Overall, he's playing a major detractor from the film's already shaky foundation.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, the rest of the supporting cast we already kind of were talking about, but they all pretty much give wooden and stiff and lackluster performances overall. Like a lot of the chemistry is just awkward or non-existent with this movie. I know part of that has to do with the direction and the director, but you got Caroline Munro. Again, she ends up playing a fucking Bond chick later on in her career. And then again, it's just terrible acting, the special effects. I mean, and even like the stop motion, like there's a scene where they're battling robots and it's all stop motion and it's cheesy. I mean, if this movie was just, let's just say Star Wars never existed, and this came out, it would still be cheesy, especially when you get movies like Flash Gordon and other similar type movies that do this kind of shit but better. Yeah. Like this, I mean, this is a watchable movie. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's outright terrible. Like this is watchable. It's just, yeah. That's the best way to describe it.
Anyway, the dialogue in this movie is so cringeworthy as best. Like, they have Christopher Plummer playing the Emperor in this movie. He's the only actor. He's the only actor taking this project seriously enough to where his performance is actually believable. But the movie is filled with clunky exposition, cheesy bullshit one-liners, and poorly written interactions. Grant you, the movie was filmed and produced in Italy, so there's a language gap. A language gap right there and then. But still, it's just really awkward half the time in this movie. Script feels like it was written by a first-time film student trying to emulate the success of Star Wars, but falling far short of the mark. The lack of depth in the dialogue only serves to highlight the film's already bad glaring flaws.
So, just to simply wrap up this review, not much more to talk about again, other than the fact this is a terrible Star Wars ripoff, and it stars Caroline Munro and David Hasselhoff and the other guy you were talking about. There's not much more else to say about this movie. It simply exists as a cheap cash grab ripoff because Star Wars exists. And there was others. There's actually worse Star Wars ripoffs out there. This one, remember again because of the people who were in it, and that's it. I mean, there is a charm to it. This movie falls into the so bad it's good category. I mean, because it's so bad. There's scenes where it's entertaining and even funny by accident. Which adds to the watchability of the movie. But if the goal was to actually make a franchise like Star Trek or Star Wars based off this movie, they missed the mark. They were way off. It's when you see a movie like that, and you see how at least David Hasselhoff's career turned out. you kind of wonder like how the fuck did this guy last as long as he did acting? Like, he's not a good actor. I mean, I get it, he has like the leading man looks or whatever, and he's passable enough. I mean, he's not a good actor, but he's not like outright terrible. Like, he's passable in certain, like, especially like in certain roles. And then you have to say like in the late '90s, 2000s, he basically just became like a joke. But the cool thing is he was in on the joke. Like, you know, he started making a lot of cameos where he was just poking fun at himself, kind of thing. Like, the guy was in on it. You gotta give him credit for that. Yeah, but other than that, holy fuck. Yeah, if you're a fan of like bad, goofy sci-fi, like Mystery Theater 3000 type movies, check this movie out. You know, it's worth watching for that because it belongs in that kind of so bad it's good category. And other than that, not much more else to add to this. This is much more enjoyable movie to sit through than fucking Hulk Hogan's No Holds Bar, brothers. Uh, Less said about that, but check out that review too. And if you like the reviews overall, drop a like, follow, and subscribe to this channel. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, until next time, peace out, viewers.
Yeah, peace out. May the force be with you.
Yes.